Hello there. The countryside, and therefore by association the people who live there, are racist, so they must have more halal food. Or so goes the logic of a recent report. When ethnic minorities congregate in UK cities, the woke internationalist establishment views it as a major victory for diversity. And as the ensuing white flight out of places like London takes place, it is hailed as a victory of diversity by achieving global cities and communities, etc. Until it becomes clear that there was only one place for the majority community to go to: the countryside, and that then becomes the new diversity target. No one questions it, not even our own politicians. Let's cut to the chase here. No one is asking the obvious question as to why the majority demographic of this country feels the need to leave places like our own capital city. We desperately need a full and open and non-woke inquiry into the real reasons and true causes of the white flight phenomenon, and policies then put in place to reverse it. Maybe there's an opening here for such a policy in Ben Habib's Advanced UK College. If all areas of the country must be comfortable for minorities, then all areas of the country must be equally comfortable for the majority population. In fact, more so. They are, after all, the majority, aren't they? Anything else is just the minority tail furiously shaking the majority dog. The reality, though, is that cities, for whatever reason, are changing into places the majority of the population of the UK no longer want to live in, and only commute into under a sort of financial duress for work. Maybe they feel uncomfortable living there. But the woke establishment cares not one jot why, because it fulfills the need for diversity in cities. That is a shameful position for Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, and his team to be a part of. Or it should be. Yes, we must start making London an attractive place for the UK majority population to return to. And we need policies in place to achieve just that. We need to reverse white flight from cities for the sake of the true diversity of this country. The real truth is that cities like London are not diverse at all. They are just becoming more and more non-white. In short, when minority ethnicities feel uncomfortable in majority white rural areas, it is, according to the woke establishment, all down to racism emanating from the majority population in rural areas. But no one ever asks whether it might be the racism of minorities refusing to participate and become a full part of the rural community. Oh no, never that. So policies must be put in place to rub the noses of the majority in rural areas in diversity. But when the majority population abandons the urban areas because it maybe made them feel uncomfortable there, it is once again branded as majority population racism for fleeing from diversity. No one looks at the possibility that racism of others is making them feel unwanted in urban areas. It is always one-way traffic. And further, when the majority population ends up congregating somewhere else, like in the countryside, the new policy becomes to make that area comply with diversity directives too. Unlike the new city communities, rural communities cannot be left alone. Now please like, subscribe and comment below, and join our channel membership, and subscribe to our other channel, Tripe and Whatnot, for bite-sized snippets from this channel. Links in the descriptions box below. And this recent report says that the countryside does not have the facilities or a sufficient availability of halal and kosher food to encourage minorities into the rural areas, even though the stomachs of the vast majority of Brits churn at the thought of what those animals go through. Now, this report by the Centre for Hate Studies, yes, there is such a thing, called the Rural Racism Project Towards an Inclusive Countryside, says that ethnic minorities face challenges and feelings of discomfort in the countryside because rural areas are overwhelmingly white. Think on that. Rural areas, this report says, lack the appropriate facilities to meet religious and cultural needs, and also that it does not provide for the dietary norms that are rooted in religious or cultural practice. Now, if halal and kosher food has to be available in every nook and cranny of the UK, then non-halal and kosher food also needs to be available in every nook and cranny of the land, doesn't it? Now here's the screed on this report from the Centre for Hate Studies based in the University of Leicester. The Centre for Hate Studies at the University of Leicester was awarded funding from the Leverhulme Trust to lead a major new study entitled The Rural Racism Project Towards an Inclusive Countryside. This large-scale research project, led by Professor Neil Chakraborty, Professor Karine Fowler and Dr. Amy Clark, challenges dominant depictions of rural England as peaceful, neutral and apolitical by investigating the realities of racism experienced by minoritised ethnic individuals and communities in rural spaces in order to understand how racism is expressed in rural contexts. They make it sound like the Ku Klux Klan is alive and well in the hills and dales of rural England. And it's stuff like this that gets right up the noses of normal Brits. Because the only time the uniparty establishment is happy is when the majority UK population is being chased out of somewhere. The reasons don't matter, as long as the majority feels uncomfortable for whatever reason and vacates the premises. What they see when looking at the rural areas, just like this report does, is a monoculture. They see an exclusive monoculture that could generate a sort of far-right sentiment, when what it is even more dangerous to the advocates of multiculturalism. It is a happy, cohesive monoculture, a monoculture with shared values and aims. It must therefore be smashed and rebuilt with only diversity as its aim. Now, as I've pointed out before, only 8 to 10% of the global population is white. I get the feeling that the WEF and UN-led UK establishment will not be happy until the UK mirrors that global population proportion exactly. Where the rest are meant to go is anyone's guess. Or maybe our catastrophically low birth rate will sadly decide that for us in the coming decades. Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters and channel membership. And thank you for watching.